Up? We are live. We are live. Let's freaking go. Floyd Mayweather claims that he's made $1 billion in boxing, and he also claims that he's broke. How could those two things possibly go together? We're going to get into it. And as a little sneak preview, let's say someone had $1 billion. You would think, oh man, yeah, they would just spend a lot of money and they could go broke. I could see that. You just overspend. Well, in order to spend with this is not having any additional income, this is not gaining interest on any money, this is not having any investment. If you just had $1 billion sitting around and nothing else coming in, you would have to spend $1 million for 1,000 days straight, which is essentially 3 years, and not take a break ever. Also, if you wanted to only spend $100,000, you would need to spend $100,000 for 10,000 days straight, which is 27 years straight. So Floyd's thesis is that he was a billionaire and he spent the equivalent of $100,000 a day for 27 years straight. It's challenging to even say it, bro. Like, it's wild. So that's Floyd's statement. We're going to get into all that, guys. Make sure you tell your coach to go to Studio Millions. Studio Millions will pack their gym. Won't make him a billionaire. I cannot promise that, but Studio Millions will pack your coach's gym full of students who stay, pay, and refer. So if you have a gym or know someone that does, man, they got to get over to Studio Millions. What are you doing? What are you doing with your life? I just dropped it in the chat. We got John Dong in the chat with the wavy hand emoji. Shout out to my guy. Let's freaking go. Also, my name is King David MMA. I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, a professional MMA champion. I train on the pro team at Extreme Couture, and I also coach there. I'm about to go coach. Tonight, I am coaching advanced no-gi. We're going to get into some jiu-jitsu for MMA. So grappling with strikes involved. I have some pretty gnarly stuff from there. Pretty dangerous stuff, guys. I won a professional MMA title with it. I put a man to sleep in front of his friends and family using jiu-jitsu in an MMA fight, which some people would say is forbidden. So we are going to get into the forbidden arts tonight. But before we do, I want to hop on with this live with you because Floyd Mayweather is saying he's got money problems. He's saying, I've heard rumors that he owes $170 million. I've heard some crazy stuff. I heard Dana White's going to help him out. I heard that he had a problem with some real estate and some tax help. So he may have been sending some money to somebody for some taxes. They're supposed to help, and maybe they just pocketed the money. Okay, so that leads me into this subject, which is claiming to be a billionaire, right? So if Floyd's running around saying, hey, I made $1 billion in fighting, that's much different than being a billionaire. So people often conflate the two, but he made $1 billion. Dude, well, let's just say off the top, 30, 40% went to taxes. Depending on his tax guy, maybe more, maybe less. Okay, but let's just say he's got, to make the math easy, 600 million left, and he made that over several years. Now, he would be hopefully putting that into something that is generating him money, but apparently the real estate ventures that he put money into that he's been seen bragging about, where he's saying things like, he's making $1 million a day in real estate. They may not have allegedly been as legit as he may have thought that they were. So how does one spend $1 billion? So off the jump, it's taxes, but let's just do the math on 1 billion without the taxes first. He would have to spend $100,000 a day, which is more than a lot of people make in a year, every single day for 27 years straight. Now, you might go, dude, that's that is very, very challenging to do, because once you bought a bunch of shit, then you're like, what else what could I buy? The guy's garage is already full of cars. He's running out of space to hold his jewelry. What is he going to buy at that point? You're like, oh, well, maybe the jewelry was $1 million. So this dude spent 1,000 millions. That's what $1 billion is. $1 billion is 1,000 millions. He's a millionaire 1,000 times over by the reports. Now, obviously, X% went to taxes. We're going to call that $400 million. So he has $600 million. So instead of spending $100,000 a day for 27 years straight, um, what would that be? 2/5 of that. So he would have to have spent 100K a day for approximately like 20 years to go through $600 million. Right. And so my point is this: what are we to believe? Are we to believe that Floyd is broke, or are we to believe that Floyd never actually generated $1 billion? Now, I have some insight into this, guys, because my uncle was Hulk Hogan, RIP. And Hulk generated billions of dollars for the WWE. I'm just guessing, just a guesstimate. At the peak, he probably had brought in $400 million for himself. So out of the billions he's generated for WWE, he keeps, let's say, 400 million of that over the course of X years. Now, that's a fluctuating number because you spend money, money comes in, you buy, it comes in and out. So I see how Floyd could have spent a lot of dough. And people go, oh, this happens to athletes all the time. There's a huge difference between a guy blowing through $10 million or even $30 million, which is still hard to do. Blowing through 30 mil, man, you got to be buying whatever the fuck you want with no thought of the future. But to blow, but even then, right? 600 million is still 20 times 30 million, and 30 million is still 30 times 1 million. So a lot of people feel like they could live off a million, let alone 30 million, let alone 20 times 30 million. Like, dude, he would go through 30 million a year for 20 years straight to blow. Like, what are we talking about? You get what I'm saying? To blow through $600 million. Yeah. That, like, to blow through $600 million, he would have to go through 30 million a year every year for 20 years. Now, let me say that again. If he paid his taxes at 40% and only had 600 million, he would have to spend 30 million a year for 20 years or 20 million a year for 30 years straight. Like, so which one's true? Is he broke? Is he just trying to move some money around and not have to pay taxes, or put it in something, maybe I don't know, right? And then like, oh, I'm broke, I got to file bankruptcy, I got problems. Like, what's really going on? So that's my thoughts on the Floyd Mayweather situation. I hope he did make $1 billion, and I hope he's not broke, and I hope that all this is fake news, and I hope he's got some money saved up, and I hope he's doing all right, and I hope good things. And if he is broke, I hope he figures it out. But to me, unless we get like an itemized checklist, it's hard to imagine him in the time that he has actually generated money, which is fairly short. Let's call it a 20-year period, and he generated $1 billion allegedly, to actually blow through that. So that's wild. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Is Floyd broke? Was he ever a billionaire? What's really going on? Let me check the chat real quick. Sup, homie? How you calling the debut fight of Gable? I don't know his opponent, but I am sure that the UFC is bringing Gable in to win. They probably had big plans, and they probably matched him accordingly. So I would imagine that is Gable's fight to lose. Keep in mind, maybe this other dude didn't get the memo that he's supposed to lose, and he comes in there and is like, "Hey, man, you know what I'm gonna do? I saw Jorge Masvidal fight Ben Askren. I'm gonna fly and knee this guy into the shadow realm. Maybe he will. Who knows? You know, that's why we fight. That's why we fight, because we never know until it pops off. Who's the best BJJ grappler you have grappled with? So for MMA or for pure jujitsu? Because for pure jujitsu, let me think. I grappled Vinny Magalesh. He's got some pretty high credentials. I believe he's won gold at every belt level in IBJJF. And then I grappled Hanato Kanuto, but I grappled Hanato Kanuto with strikes. So that makes it much different. He felt very good, but there's some positions with striking that make it much different, much different. So also when you're grappling with strikes, there's no points being scored. So it completely changes the game. But yeah, I've grappled those two. Who else? I grappled Wilson Hayes, but I grappled him in an MMA round where we started striking. You know what I mean? So the grappling was very limited. And Wilson is a 25er, so he is probably 20 pounds lighter than me. So yeah. Who else? Best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu grappler. I'm gonna say a controversial person. People get upset at this name. Lloyd Irvin's pretty good. Grappled Lloyd Irvin. He's got a whole team of killers up there. People do not like Lloyd, but I've grappled him. Oh, also, totally forgot about this. I this guy may not be, in terms of medals, the highest achieving grappler, but Ryan Hall was excellent. When I grappled Ryan Hall, yeah, that was interesting because I grappled him. I competed him against him at blue belt, and then I grappled him later after that, just at the gym, and that was quite interesting. Yeah, that guy's really good. So yeah, man, I would probably say Hanatu has the most accomplished record than Vinny, and Vinny is 240 with abs or something. You know what I mean? Vinny's a pretty big dude, maybe 225 with abs. So we're in different weight classes. It's hard to actually tell what you're going with sometimes because when there's that big of a weight difference, you're not actually feeling their real game oftentimes. So it gets a little interesting there, right? You got to kind of speculate, but yeah, those were some of the best guys. And then in terms of MMA, who's the best grappler I've ever gone with him? Like just pure MMA grappling. I'd have to think about that. I would have to think about that. Best MMA grappler. Yeah, I've grappled some like dudes from Russia and shit that there's no moving them. It's kind of crazy. So yeah. Yeah, now you got me thinking, bro. Now you got me thinking. Also, I was watching Brennan Schaub's podcast, and he was talking about Tom Aspinall, and he asked an interesting question. Brendan Schaub asked if Tom Aspinall, like, what's the belt worth? Because he's the heavyweight champion. Because people are saying, hey, we'll just move on. Let Hokit fight Cyril Gahn and strip Tom Aspinall. And then it's like, what does the UFC belt mean? And Brendan said, your guys' favorite podcast, I know. Brendan Schaub said, well, then in that case, is Nina Drama worth more than Tom Aspinall? Because she's getting more views than a lot of fighters, right? And so that got me thinking. And so my take on the subject is that the belt has to mean something, right? Because if only the views matter, which they matter, but they can't be the only thing that matters, or else UFC turns into brand risk. And if UFC turns into brand risk, then the belts mean nothing. Because why not have like clavicular fight the Hawk Tua girl, or like, you know what I mean? Or remember her, guys? Like, why not just get the two most viral people at any moment and have them fight? Unless the belt means something. So the belt has to mean something, and there has to be value in the act of simply being the champion without selling pay-per-views, without your view count, your social media score, your metrics, your engagement. There has to be some value in actually being the best fighter. So how much value should that be? Because Tom Aspinall allegedly is saying, hey, I'm ready to fight. just pay me 25 million and I'll fight. And on his side of the argument, it's like, well, he's already been poked in the eyes. He's already had to have surgery. He's fighting a guy in Cyril Gahn who's publicly allegedly known to be dirty. That almost every one of his fights, he fouls somebody and doesn't get called for it. And so Tom Aspinall probably has people around him like Eddie Hearn who are saying, dude, your vision, your health, your safety, and your life are on the line. You need to be compensated. And that's a great argument. Except the UFC is like, hey, we'll make more money if we have these two fights. So you better fight for what's on your contract because we already have a contract with you. So what are we doing here? Right. So then that's when it gets weird. Right. And so in that world where the only thing that matters is the view count, why not have Nina Drama fight another influencer chick on whatever UFC 4th of July card, or what, like, you know what I'm saying? Why, if that's all that matters, we'll have fireworks, we'll have two girls who have big social media followings, they can kick stream it, you know, we can have the super chats going, we could do it all, right? If that's the only thing that matters, so there has to be some integrity towards the belt. And so then, if we're weighing integrity and we're weighing ability to fight, then how much do you value views? Right? So, like, what's the balance there? Because obviously, if Conor fights and Conor wins, you know, when he won the 45-pound belt, then went up and won the 55-pound belt, he's got it all. He's got the ability to be the best fighter on the planet. He's proven it. He's got the belt. There's value in that. And he's getting the views and he's getting more eyeballs and he's more famous than anybody. So sometimes, in a rare exception or rare case, someone can have it all. But like, where do you what's the, because now Connor's coming back, but he doesn't have the belt. But do they pay him less because the eyeballs are still the same? Like it's still a business. And so some people would make the argument that that's why amateur sport is superior to professional sport. Because amateur sport is essentially, hey, we're not doing this for the money. We're doing this for the glory. And when you add money in, then different things matter. Then political agendas matter. Then view counts matter. Then you and now what are we doing? Like, at what point is it no longer the sport and it's more of a pseudo sport? That's like, this is as close as we can get to actually having rankings where people fight each other based on their rank, like a bracket system. But a bracket system, man, then we're leaving all the guys to get eyeballs out and they might get matched up with somebody that can beat them. So what are we doing? And next thing you know, you got Nina Drama fighting Hawk Tua. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of Nina Drama, she's moved on from crashing out on her fans. I did a video recently where I broke down Nina Drama crashing out on her fans and the societal contract that she genuinely is like, what's happening here? So she seemed confused and we went into it in that video. So if you have not seen the most recent Nina Drama video where I say she crashes out on her fans, go watch that, because we get balls deep into the societal contract and how it's being abandoned and shit is fucking hitting the fan. So she's moved on from insulting her fans. She's getting into thirst trapping. Now, keep in mind, I'm over here. I have a dime piece girlfriend. I'm happy. I'm done. You're right. I'm not here to look at Nina Drama's ass. That's not what I'm trying to do. So I'm like, hey, what can I talk about on today's live? So I'm looking up subjects. So I go on Strickland's X. I'm like, oh, what's popping over there? Oh. It's like he's got some heavy stuff on there. We could get into that, but like today I'm feeling in a lighthearted mood. Go to Hokit. Hokit hasn't really posted too much. Some other people are posting. You know, like, I'm interested in Usman versus DDP. I'm interested in that fight. But like, is that fight the topic that the people are clamoring to talk about? Well, on one hand, I believe that that's almost like a attack at Sean Strickland, because those are both dudes that have beat Sean Strickland. Now they're having those two guys fight potentially for the number one title spot, the number one challenger. Whoever wins that might get the fight. And now they're making it so that whoever wins has a win over Strickland. So like, maybe somebody who was a theorist would theorize that They are not looking to do Strickland any favors. They're trying to get him out of there. That's the theory. We could get into that in another video. So this video, I go on Strickland, I go on Hokit. I'm looking up, upcoming UFC rumors, news. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me see what Nina Drama's up to. She's selling soul in her fans. No, she's not. She's not. She is, in fact, doing Pilates with her ass towards the camera. Now, keep in mind, she's in a relationship. So I don't know how you guys feel, but if you were dating someone and they were literally doing Pilates with their crotch faced towards the camera, how would you feel? So I'm sure the comment section is going to pop off on her, and we may get another Nina Drama crashing out on her fans again video in the near future. I hope it doesn't go there. But if it does, we'll be here for it, right? Also, speaking of when we were just talking about Conor, so Conor beat Eddie Alvarez. Conor's coming back. What's Conor's value? Conor alleges his value is $200 million because he said that Sheikh Turkey, the Middle East money guy that puts up money for these fights, he offered Terrence Crawford $200 million, $100 million to fight MMA and $100 million to fight boxing, both fights against Conor McGregor. Conor says Terrence Crawford said no. Now, this was before the Canelo fight when this offer came through. Terrence said it wasn't an offer. It was Conor trying to make something happen, and no talk of money was mentioned. Conor says there was a talk of money. So now we got two conflicting stories. Who's lying? What's really going on? Then Terrence Crawford went on to say, had they told me it was $200 million, I would have fought. I would have fought Conor McGregor in MMA for $100 million and then boxed him for $100 million. I would have said yes. So then Ariel Helwani goes, well, bro, if that offer exists, you're in? Oh, no, I'm not in. I'm just saying I would have been in. And so Terrence says he would have fought Conor for $200 million, but he doesn't need to fight Conor anymore. So he's not going to fight him for $200 million. So I get what he's saying. He's fought Canelo. He's made money. He doesn't want to do more damage to his body. Why go through a training camp? Why he left on top. Terrence Crawford, the man in boxing. So why not just say, hey, man, I'm not an MMA fighter, bro. You could offer me all the money in the world. I'm not fighting MMA, dude. If Conor wants to box, I would entertain it. $100 million, I would probably do it. I'm not interested in MMA. And he could even further go on to say, hey, man, I respect MMA fighters. That's like them coming over to boxing. They're not going to win. And if I go over to MMA, I'm not going to win. So why would I do that? Why doesn't he just say that? What? He kind of sort of hinted at it because he says he doesn't want to get kicked by Conor. But he also said he feels that his wrestling would negate Conor's wrestling, and that on the feet, he'd KO Conor. He just doesn't feel like getting kicked, or if he felt like getting kicked, he would go pick up the $100 million bag and knock Conor out. He just doesn't want to get kicked. You know what I mean? It's just $200 million. He don't want to get kicked, right? Because it would be easy to beat him in boxing afterwards, and he would stuff his takedowns and knock him out on the feet. He just doesn't need the $200 million, right? He's got enough, but he just doesn't need $200 million. Now, keep in mind, we were just discussing Floyd Mayweather, and it would take 27 years of spending $100,000 a day, every day. So a fifth of that would be 5.5 years, 5.25 years. He could, if Terrence said yes to this, he could literally set $100,000 on fire every day for 5.5 years. You know what I mean? Like, bro, today, 100 G's, tomorrow, 200 G's, 300 G's, 400 G's, 500 G's, 10 days from now, he spent $1 million, another million, another million, another million. He could spend $1 million 200 times. He could spend $100,000 for 20 years straight. You get what I'm saying, guys? Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? So anyways, Terrence Crawford says that fight's not going to happen, not because he wouldn't win, not because he wouldn't knock out Conor McGregor in MMA, not because, the 200 million isn't he just doesn't need it right now. And he doesn't want to get kicked. So, anyways, guys, that's kind of what's popping off in the MMA world. We're honestly, man, what we're doing, we're we're like the swell of the wave right now. And the wave that's coming is going to be green and orange, and there's only one Conor McGregor, and it's going to crash down on Max Holloway, and then Conor's going to call out Justin Gaethje and Islam Makhachev, and he's going to fight them back to freaking back, and he's going to be the triple champ. Let's freaking go, guys. I'll see you on the live tomorrow. Peace.